right, the day is finally here where we get to bring you our Mad Hunts custom rifle build. It's going to be more of an assembly process, but we've been working on this for the past 6 months. The reason being is the custom components that we have, the custom parts that we've had built, you can't just go online and buy some of them and have them shipped to your house in a couple of days or a week. They're truly custom parts. Some of them take up to 6 months to have them shipped out to you after they've been completed at the factory. So today we're going to build this rifle. We're here in our studio, but the build itself is so easy you could do it in 20 minutes on your kitchen table. It's not difficult, and we're going to show you guys exactly how we're doing it. Let's run through the parts with you guys. We've got a lot of high quality custom parts from different manufacturers. Some we've used before in the past, some we're trying out for the first time. But we put a lot of thought into this. To begin with, we're building the rifle on this Terminus Zeus action. There's really nothing to putting this together. There's a bolt knob here on the table. We slide the bolt in and it's ready to go. But the reason that we chose this Zeus action from Terminus is because it has the quick detached barrel. This barrel literally has been designed to thread right on. There's a couple of set screws, and then we head space it and we're good to go. A couple of the other features that we really like on this Zeus action is the design for the trigger pins to hang the trigger onto the action. These pins slide in, but they're threaded pins. So they actually hold tight. No more using a little hammer or a mallet or anything like that to drive the pins in. They slide in, a little bit of blue Loctite locks them in place, and they're super quick and easy to put in and out, and they're just really a great design. So this action comes with an integrated machined Picatinny rail. It runs the full length of the top of the action. It is a 20 MOA rail, and we'll definitely be using that or needing that for some of the long range type of shots that we want to bring to you here in the future. But it's a great action. I'm really excited about this one for sure. From there, we're actually going to thread this barrel onto it. This is a brand new carbon 6 barrel. We are really big fans of this barrel manufacturer. I have one actually on this rifle here. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor. The rifle build today is going to be a 6.5 PRC. Heard a lot of great things about this round, kind of the Magnum version, some people say, of a 6.5 Creedmoor. But this is a 22-inch long barrel. It's a 1-in-8 twist. It's carbon fiber wrapped barrel, and really this one just shoots lights out, so it was a no-brainer for me to go to carbon 6 for this next build that we're doing. And I'm excited to show you guys. This literally threads on, and there's no tools that are needed. You can do it with your hand. You don't need a heavy bench vise or barrel vise or anything like that. You thread it on. It's gonna be a shooter for sure. I'm excited. Also, what that does is it allows us down the road, if we want to either change 6.5 barrels, if we burn this one out, or this is a short action, so we could in theory run a different caliber. If we use the same bolt face, we can use the same bolt. We can call Terminus if we want to run a different size bolt face and put a different caliber, say maybe a 22 Creedmoor, a 6mm arc, a 22 arc, one of those other short action rounds that will go out of this same short action bolt. We can order a new bolt face, with a new bolt face size if that changes. But really, this rifle build has the opportunity to be very versatile for us and shoot different calibers and different cartridges here down the road. So after the barrel, we're going to hang a TricerUSA diamond trigger on there. I don't know what else to say about TricerUSA. In my opinion, they're absolutely the best triggers on the market right now. We're running them in some of our other guns. We've got a diamond in this. Kate has got a diamond in a 280 Ackley Improved that he likes to shoot. Connor has a TricerUSA diamond in his 28 Nosler that was built by Axis Works down in Tempe, Arizona. So we love these triggers, and it's just a no-brainer for us to go right back to them. The zero creep and the adjustability on them is just phenomenal. After the trigger, we're going to drop it into this Manners chassis. This long-range hunter chassis is really lightweight, and it comes with the integrated pick rail on the fore end and also the integrated ARCA rail. The action is a drop-in action, so that'll just fit right in. And then over here, we've got the Badger Ordnance M5 detachable magazine action. You get your AICS mag, AICS mag, put it right in there, and you're good to go. So after we get the rifle all built and everything put together, we're gonna mount it up to this Burris Veracity PH scope. I really like this scope because it has a heads-up display that shows the clicks inside of the reticle as you're looking through the scope. It's really neat. As you turn the dial on the scope, it shows up in the heads-up display what your yardage is that you're dialing to, up to or down to, so you don't have to take your eye out of the scope, look up at your dial, turn it, and go from there. So it really is something that in the heat of the moment, when you've got a big animal that you're looking at, a big coos deer, mule deer or something, and you're trying to dial, it's just less time and less to worry about. And really, our testing last summer, these things are money. They're spot on, they dial up great. So we're gonna be putting that on there as well. So that's the gist of our build. Let's get everything organized here, and we'll start putting this thing together. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this terminus action. It comes with a bolt. The bolt knob screws right onto the bolt, but I want to put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. Never hurts to be locked up, screwed on there real tight, and that's good to go. Next thing, we're going to just take the bolt and push our bolt release, put it into the action. Action is built, ready to go, ready to drop in. Okay, so after we've got the bolt knob screwed onto the bolt is inserted into the action itself. The next step is to take our Trigger Tech Diamonds trigger, get it out of the box here, and install it onto our terminus action.
This is the trigger itself. There's two pins that go through the trigger mechanism, and they're both threaded on the end, and really, really simple to use.
Okay, so when you buy a terminus action, it comes with a little Ziploc baggie like this that has those trigger pins. You don't want to lose these. These threaded trigger pins are patented, and it's not something you can just pick up anywhere. Okay, so there's two of those in each one. I think you can order replacements from Joel over at Terminus, but there's our trigger pins. I'm going to take the bolt out of the action. While I'm doing this, it's just less weight. You'll see on this action, there's a small side and there's a larger diameter side. That larger diameter is to fit these pins. So you want to make sure to insert the pin from this side. All we do is we line up this is a right-handed gun. This is a right-handed trigger. So when you order it, you want to make sure that your safety is on the right side of the gun, but it simply slides in, and each one of these pins drops in, and give it a twist or two. We're not going to tighten it until we get this other side in. We'll set that down. We'll grab this other pin, get us a little bit of Loctite on. Ooh, way too much Loctite, but get us a little bit of Loctite on there. Put it on the hex wrench. You can feel it slide right in to the slot, to the hole, and then you get to the threads, and the threads just go right in. Snug both sides up, go to one side. Go to the other side. There we go. We've got our TriggerTech Diamond trigger installed. Let's put the bolt in and make sure that the action functions as it's supposed to. So we take the bolt, hit the bolt release knob on the back side of the action, slide it in, bolt locks into place. We have a safety on. No pull in the trigger there, so that safety is working. When we push the safety to the off position, the trigger fires. I feel like we're going to need to adjust that trigger, and let's show you how to do that as well. It's too early, it's not really mounted in the stock, but I think the trigger's a little bit heavy. So all you do to adjust the trigger is you take the Allen wrench, hex wrench that the trigger comes with, and there's a little setting on the bottom. You just insert the wrench, and if you turn it clockwise, it's going to get heavier, and counterclockwise will loosen the trigger. So there we go. I just loosened it 5 clicks from what it came with in the factory. Feels lighter, but we're going to need to adjust that. Let's continue with the build, and we'll adjust that later. Even out in the field, you can remove the bolt and adjust it pretty simply. So let's just run with this for now. The next step is to install this terminus action into the Manners stock. The stock itself was inletted for this specific action. It is a Remington 700 clone action, so it should be the same as all the other Remington 700 clones and the Remington 700 itself, but there is a drop-down list when you're ordering the stock for Manners, and you want to make sure that you're picking a Terminus Zeus action. So here we go, a couple of steps with that. First off is we need to put the aluminum pillars into the stock. These come from Terminus. There's 2 of them, a long one and a short one. And all you do is press these into the holes. And that's snug, but it slides right in. Here's the other one. This goes in the front of the stock. That one didn't feel quite as snug, but it slides right in. There's 2 bolts that come from Terminus as well, and the longer bolt will go in the back part closer to the trigger. The shorter bolt will go in the front part closer to the rifle barrel itself. So let's get that installed right now. So all we do to actually install it is to drop it in. So we take our action and we very carefully drop it into the stock. And as you can see, it fits nicely. The only step now is to turn it over and put our Badger Ordnance M5 trigger assembly, bottom metal, on. So now that we have those together, all we got to do is drop the bolts in. The longer bolt goes behind the trigger guard. The shorter bolt goes in front of the magazine well. And just get them tightened down. Now each individual action, the manufacturer will have a torque rating, a torque spec that you want to torque these down to. I would check with your manufacturer of your specific action so that you know what those torque specs are. But once you have those torqued into place, now it's starting to look like a rifle. The action functions properly, our trigger functions properly. So we're getting there, we're almost there. The next step for this particular rifle is to get the barrel threaded. The barrel that we selected is the same as we have on this PRS gun to my left. This is a carbon 6 barrel. They're somewhat new on the scene, but I've had really good success with this rifle, and we're really happy to put this barrel on this build. This is a 22-inch carbon wrapped barrel. It is a 1-in-8 twist. The threaded muzzle brake is important on this barrel because we're going to add our Silencer Co. harvester can for when we go out hunting. We don't have to worry about ear protection. So right now we've just got the muzzle brake on there, and we're going to thread this barrel. Before we thread it, we need to go back to these little Ziplocs that our Terminus Action came with, and they're these little threaded set screws that go on the end of this action. There's 2 of them. They're really small, so don't lose them. It's just a really, really tiny set screw. All we're going to do is we're going to take this screw and we're going to just thread like 1 thread onto the action, just enough to hold it there, to hold it in place so it doesn't fall off and get loose. You can even feel on the other side and make sure it's not coming all the way through. That's the first one. We're now going to do the second one here. There we go. So that's just, they're both set in there right now. We're going to tighten them after we get the barrel on. This might be one of the coolest parts about the whole build, is there is no barrel vise necessary for this. We simply take our carbon 6 pre-fit barrel and we screw it on. Once we get it, there's the wall right there. Once we get it to that wall, you want to really give it a hard snap, and that's it. We come over here and we'll tighten down our locking nuts. And we actually do want to run these a little tighter. These do not require a lot of torque. One side, there's the other side. How's that look? If it shoots as good as it looks, we're going to be really happy with this build. Super smooth action, super crisp trigger. It's a standard AICS magazine, AICS. That's a 5-round MDT mag. It fits right in there. So we've almost got this rifle built. We got a couple more steps. The next step in this process is to check the head spacing. One of the most important parts of this entire build is to check the head spacing to make sure that we're within SAAMI spec. That's what this go and no-go gauges are for. We're going to take the go gauge first. We're going to open the action, and we're going to insert this go gauge just like a bullet. This is not a bullet, this is not a round, but we're going to insert it just like you would a bullet, and we simply close that bolt. The bolt lever closes. That means that the go gauge is properly head spaced. Pull that one out. The next one we have is the no-go gauge. This one we're going to install, but when we close the bolt handle should not close. It is checking that head space, and this particular no-go gauge is too large to fit in the chamber, so that bolt won't close, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. The go gauge, the bolt closes. The no-go gauge, it does not close. So what that means is this rifle is fully built. It's safe to shoot. All of the components are together. It's just missing one more important thing, and that's some type of sight. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to run this Burris Veracity PH scope on it. We're going to mount this scope to the pick rail, and this should give us a optical clarity and be more than sufficient for what we're trying to do out to 1,000 yards and beyond. That's really the proper performance range of this rifle. I know guys will shoot them out to a mile and that type of thing. We're building a hunting rifle for hunting purposes. Really, we don't want to shoot 1,000 yards. We want to get much, much closer than that. But this rifle is going to be built with the ability to shoot out to 1,000 yards if we need to, and this Burris optic is going to give us just the clarity and precision that we need to do that. So let's install that next. We've enlisted the help of our Caldwell lead sled here to hold the gun steady, but the next step in this process is to install our Burris Veracity PH scope. Before we do that, we've got to install the scope rings. I've already set the screws into them down here, so we're going to get the scope rings mounted. We'll drop the scope in, we'll tighten everything down. I use a wheeler, level to level everything out, but we're not trying to make this a big tutorial on how to set up a scope or how to mount a scope, but that's the next process, so here we go. Okay, so once we have the bases on, we apply a little bit of Loctite. We get our X-wrench. Burris supplied this in their box with the scope rings. I pre-applied some blue Loctite. You definitely don't want these coming apart or coming loose on you after you start shooting out in the field, hunting, that type of thing. So definitely put some blue Loctite on them. Okay, so the bases on both these rings are mounted, and I'm just checking how far apart they're mounted. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3/4. The reason I'm measuring is because these scope rings come with shims that allow you to either add or subtract MOA to the position that the scope is mounted on the rifle. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but this particular Terminus Zeus action comes with a 20-minute MOA rail. I'm actually going to take the MOA, that 20 MOA, out of the rail and get it zeroed. The reason being, and it's a topic for a whole nother discussion, maybe we'll do another video, this Veracity PH scope has its own inclinometer in it, and it works off of a 0 MOA rail. So if I had a 20 MOA rail, it's going to fight with the science that's built into the scope and not give me proper inclination readings, proper readings, especially when I'm shooting up steep hill or down steep hill, whichever way we're going. So this is the setting that I need. I have the shims in here. I have a +10 in the front and a -10 in the back for those that are wondering. And now we're going to put the scope, we're going to set it in the into the scope mounts. I've pre-marked on the scope where I want my eye relief to be set at, so I can see as I'm adjusting the scope back and forth right now where that measurement is, so I don't need to get behind the rifle and be looking. That's right where I want the eye relief set. So this is good for me. So we're now going to put the tops of the caps, or the tops of the rings on. Okay, all the screws are in and Loctited. I need to make some adjustments to the scope now. We'll get out our level, and make sure that the level is set and get this thing locked down. Okay, there we go. We've got her leveled out. One of the tricks to these 3-bolt scope ring sets with 3 screws on the top, get the screw in the middle of each row, get those down to get the scope level, and then tighten up all the corners. But use those first ones to help level it out and then screw everything tight. But got this thing nice and level right now. She's good to shoot. This rifle is done. We built it, and it's not a complicated process at all. We did it right here in our studio, but like we said earlier, it's literally easy enough. You could build this on your kitchen table, and this rifle will be a 1,000-yard gun without a doubt in my mind, with all these quality components and different manufacturers that we've got involved here. So super excited. We've got some great hunts coming up this season. We're going to take it to New Mexico. We're going to go bear hunting. One of us drew an Arizona tag, a rifle deer tag. We don't know who yet. We just have credit card hits right now, but we'll take it on that. We've also got our Mexico cruise deer hunts, and then coming up, I believe it's in February, we have an aoudad tag, an aoudad hunt in West Texas. Never done that before. It's been a bucket list, and this is the rifle that I'm going to be taking on that. We've got some other exciting things coming up. Keep watching, stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe, but thanks for watching today.